Angus Council have produced a poster and a skills booklet, but really this was just the beginning of a wider programme where we have 22 schools involved in our pilot, and we've really been trying to engage them in what Skills for Learning, Life and Work is all about. The first CPD that we introduced our schools to was developing a shared understanding of skills for learning, life and work. The second CPD was around planning and profiling, and really what we were asking our schools to do there was think about what planning they already have in place. Our 22 schools that have been involved really have started to understand where they are in relation to skills for learning, life and work, and they've really found that actually they're doing an awful lot already in relation to that, and we've just helped and supported them to develop it further.
Carnoustie High School is one of a number of schools in Angus involved in the pilot looking at skills. We have a group of volunteer teachers who regularly get together and we discuss and share practice. Our focus is skills for learning, and we're using the revised edition of Bloom's Taxonomy by Anderson, and we're looking at remembering, understanding, applying, analysing, evaluating and creating. We've looked at our practice and we're embedding the skills into our planning because we believe that it is important to explicitly teach skills. Our transition teacher is working with our primary colleagues and including looking at a common understanding, developing that common understanding across the cluster.
My role as transition teacher involves working with S1 and S2 in English and Maths. In terms of the primary-secondary transition part of the role, that involves trying to develop skills and moderate our work and share practice between primary and S2 so that the children have continuity and progression in how they develop their skills over that period. As part of the skills pilot, I introduced the children to the poster initially and decided that our focus in class would be on skills for learning. So I introduced them to the triangle with the thinking skills, looking at the different order, the hierarchy. And the children, through their primary 7 and S1 experience so far, concluded that the skills that they had developed mostly so far were remembering and understanding, and that what we would take on board this term was working on the 4 higher order thinking skills. Before I used the skill cards with the class, I looked at the planning and made sure that using the planning tool I could structure and organise the lessons so that the children were able to develop the other 4 higher order skills other than those of just understanding and remembering. You've got your sheets for looking at the 6 skills. Okay. What I want you to do for the next 5 minutes is to go through the cards, your skills cards, and based on the work that we've done on media so far this term, the 3 sheets we've been working on, I would like you to fill in the skills that you think we've hit so far.
Well, if we look at the analysing card, we've been comparing and contrasting adverbs.
Yeah.
So that'll go down.
So if you can find any on understanding and remembering that you think we've touched on a lot, put that in too, because these are still important, even although these are the 4 that we're trying to develop.
Our planning has changed quite substantially following taking part in the pilot. We're now looking a lot more at the higher order skills than we did previously. We took a good look at our lesson plans from before and found that a lot of the time we were asking the pupils to develop their lower order skills, and now we're trying to incorporate a much greater balance between the higher and the lower order skills. In order to do this, one of the things that we've been doing with the first years is to work on a unit where we're comparing the climates of hot and cold deserts. And this week they've been working on plants which are adapted to the conditions of the hot and cold deserts. To do this, they've had to research the plant, analyse adaptations of existing plants, and then apply that knowledge to their own plant, and then create a finished design and present it to a group. Our assessment focuses on both skill development and also knowledge. With this particular assessment, the pupils self-assess and peer assess. They look at the creativity and the application of the adaptations to their own plant. This then gives us 2 pieces of evidence for us to work with as staff. We can look at the actual design of the plant and we can assess that, looking at again the creativity and the analysis, etc. And then also we can look at the evaluations that the pupils have filled out for both themselves and for the others.
The skills profile booklet is used by the pupils in order to identify those skills that they're using, not only in English but also across the school and in their lives outside the school as well. As an English teacher, I want them to understand the definitions of the skills they're using so they can decide when they use them and apply them when they're required. They will also self-assess themselves over the skills with a certain amount of input from myself as well.
We wanted to make sure the skills were transferable across different subjects, so we set up an interdisciplinary project within our curriculum group. First of all, we wanted to look at the skills that we were going to target throughout the project. We focused on skills for learning and skills for work. The skills for learning being the higher order skills of creating, evaluating and analysing, and the skills for work were focusing on management of time, working together and thinking creatively and critically. The project involves the pupils designing and then making the product. They also have to create company identity through making a logo, business cards and a brochure to promote the products. The final part of the project involves them pitching their idea in the Dragon's Den to 2 members of staff.
Hello Dragons, today we are here to present to you our logo that we have designed.
We are also here today to show you the products we have designed and manufactured.
And most importantly, we're here to discuss our business plan with you and ask for an investment of £300 for our products.
The key to success, I think, of the project was the joint planning and working together, which ensured sim delivery and engaged the pupils fully.
I started off using the skills booklet with my S1 and my S2 classes. However, I did see an opportunity to develop those skills further with my S4 senior phase class. What I decided to do was, using the skills booklet, the class in groups took a specific skill each, and they then formulated questions from each skill which related to the topic that they're working on at the moment, which is Macbeth. Now, these skills I felt were particularly important for developing their knowledge of their folio purposes and also further assessment. And what they then did was, in groups, they answered the questions relating them to their essay topic on Macbeth. Using these higher order thinking skills is then going to allow the pupils to carry the skills and the knowledge that they've developed in my class into higher and hopefully into university as well. Then that will lead them into developing these skills for learning and for life and finally for work. Our next step is for the group of teachers to share practice across the school, because we've been looking at developing skills within the curriculum, and the next step for us is to look at ways of developing across the curriculum, because after all we want to prepare our young people for jobs that don't yet exist and use technologies that haven't yet been invented to be able to solve problems that we can't foresee.